So I'm going to be very, very quick, but I wanted to thank Gaia, thank all the photographers, thank Francesca, thank everyone who's been a part of this project. Because at the African Women's Development Fund, our whole job is actually supporting women's rights activists across Africa. In our work, what we see is how the narrative, the stories around who African women are and what they do have been completely distorted. The amazing thing about a photo exhibition like this is that it tells stories in a language that everyone understands. You don't have to be speaking English or Portuguese or French to understand the importance of the work that all of the people in these photographs are doing. We live in this world where sometimes culture, whether it's in photographs or whether it's in music, has a bigger impact on the way people think than the words that we ever say. And as we go across Africa, looking at the work of African women, looking at the work of African smallholder farmers, we really understand that these are the people who are feeding the world. But because of this world we live in, where television cameras can go out and give you sweeping pictures of farms that are hundreds of acres big, I'm not sure that's the right word, but farms that are absolutely huge, that can show you pictures that look breathtaking, that actually end up feeding people's sense that mass industrial farming is what feeds the world. We see that on TV. It impacts on how people think. It impacts on how people buy. It impacts on how people eat. But when you're actually in the countries where food is being produced, you see that it's not the mass farming that makes the difference. It's the thousands and thousands and thousands of smallholder farmers who are producing food and have for generations been producing food that truly feeds the world. What you also don't see behind those pictures of beautiful fields of corn and wheat and in massive farms is the pain and the violations that very often go behind them. When you have women thrown off of land that they've worked on for generations because someone with money, and very often your pension money, is going in and buying on a mass scale and actually destroying the land and destroying the work that women and men have done for generations, you realize how dangerous myths and false stories can become. What this exhibition does is to begin to change those myths. It begins to show people that actually it's not mass production that counts. It's people who have passion for the land, people who understand and who have for generations been breeding seed, not in scientific laboratories, but in their homes, on their farms, who understand that you use this seed when you anticipate drought, and you use this seed when you anticipate flood, and who for generations have carried that knowledge. African women, and there are women across the world, there are smallholder farmers across the world, but I know about the African women, so I'll tell you about African women. African women have been protecting their communities, protecting their families through understanding and developing seed, and using seed not just for farming, but also using seed for food, using seed in ways that means that communities are protected, in ways that have protected our environment, so that when we do have natural disasters, which are very often brought on by human irresponsibility, there have been ways in which we have been protected. All of that is eroded. But the fantastic thing about this photographic exhibition is it allows us to celebrate, because people don't always want to hear doom and gloom. But if people can look at beautiful photographs and understand the real stories behind how we have an opportunity to live and how we have an opportunity to counter the damage that we have done to the earth to this date, then we have hope. Our children have hope, and they can see and feel, because seeing and feeling is as important as hearing and reading. So thank you for this photographic exhibition. Thank you for everyone who's been involved in it. Thank you to Gaia for keeping up the fight, because it is a fight. And I really hope that as all of you go away today, whether you are in the private sector, whether you're in the food industry, whether you're in the rights sector, that you go away and you spread the story. You spread the story about how smallholder farmers feed the world. You spread the story about how each and every one of us has a responsibility in maintaining the feeding of the world in a positive and sustainable way. And I hope you go away telling people that feeding the world isn't just about food and our physicality. It's also about our spirituality. It's about our mental health. It's about the way in which our world will be worth living for our children.